Hello, it's Drew and Terry Edwards here from MakeMorePlacements.com, where we help recruitment and search business owners make more placements for higher fees with less work and fewer headaches. And welcome to the Make More Placement show. Just want to check that we actually live before we kick off. Hey, Terry, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Facebook Live stroke podcast.
Just off of it. No, it looks like everything's working. Today we're going to be talking about why your ideal clients want you to increase your fee and how to do it without missing out on profits. So why your ideal clients want you to increase your fee and how to do it without missing out on profits. Look, before we sort of jump into the why and the how, let's talk about what it could look like when you get this role. So most recruitment and search business owners at some level, so most people that we speak to anyway, are at some level unhappy with the fee they're getting, or even if they're happy, they think that the level of service that they provide in relation to the rest of the market, warrants a higher fee. The big problem they have, or the big belief they have, is that they believe that if they started charging more, that their potential clients won't like it, and they're scared that doing so will result in them missing out on future business. Is there anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I want to add to that. We speak to hundreds of recruitment and search firm owners from around the world every month, undoubtedly, literally hundreds every single month. So what's going on here is extremely common. I would say it's a challenge for probably 80-90% of recruitment and search firm owners that we speak to every day. And what's the root cause of it is fear on the part of the recruiter, that if they ask for what they believe they deserve, they're not going to get the business. And as with most fear, it's irrational, because most fear is about something that's going to happen in the future, and often it doesn't happen anyway. And this is just one of those things, and we'll go into detail as to how and why that is. So yeah, absolutely, Drew, but extremely common amongst recruitment and search business owners worldwide as well. It's not on one in any particular nation. This is internationally. Every recruitment and search firm we speak to has this same fear.
Yeah, and it's actually it's actually one of our favourite subjects. Although people often come to us for help with marketing, help with sales, one of the things that we like talking about the most and like helping our clients with the most is around their fee and how much they're able to charge in the marketplace. Because I think no matter who you are, no matter what market you're in, if you can charge more for the work you're already doing, you'd obviously be a lot better off. So it's something that we like speaking about a lot. And I think from the conversations that I have, I think the benefits or the reason to charge a higher fee from your point of view as a recruiter are obvious, right? You charge a higher fee to get paid more for the work you're doing, you'd obviously be a lot better off. But I think today what we want to talk about is the benefits to the client, because the truth is, although most of them won't say it, or most of them don't yet know it, the truth is your ideal clients actually want to pay you a higher fee. And paying you a higher fee is actually a lot better for them. Helps you, we'll go into some of the reasons in a minute, but helps you deliver a better service and helps them get better results in terms of what they're looking for in a recruiter.
Yeah, and just going back, there's benefits for everybody, for the recruiter, the search firm owner, as you said, Drew. It's going to add to your bottom line. If you were to only increase your fees by 1%, that's all going to your bottom line. Ultimately, it means that you're going to work less and earn substantially more, and ultimately it means it's going to take you closer to achieving your long-term goals, and doing what you set up in business to do. Because you set up in business as a recruitment search business owner to generate as much income as possible and to make as much profit as possible. That's what it's all about. From the client's point of view, we all know at an intellectual level that you can't say that we are the best recruiter or search firm and we're also the cheapest. It just doesn't compute. You can't say that you're the best and you're the cheapest. You're either one or the other. And
yeah, well, I mean,
sorry, Drew.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, and the majority of hiring managers, they want the best candidate, not the cheapest candidate.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, just to add to that, I think you can say you're the best and the cheapest as much as you want, but I think there's always going to be, and you've probably been in a situation where you go to buy something and you've questioned it because it's too cheap. You've questioned the value of it because it's too cheap, and believe it or not, the same thing is happening if you're undercharging for your recruitment services. You're out there saying that you're the best, but you're priced averagely. You price the same as the rest of the market. There's a conflict in what you're saying and the message that you're trying to put across.
Absolutely.
So look, I'll tell you what, first, before we sort of get into the hows and whats, can you sort of first help us understand? So when we say ideal client, what do we mean when we say your ideal client wants you to increase your fee? What do we mean?
Yeah, so there's a number of things here. First of all, what we know is that the recruiter or search firms that has a well-defined niche tends to outperform. So the narrower your niche, the broader your appeal. So you should have a niche that you operate in. So it's easy for you to define who your ideal client is, rather than saying I'll work with any hiring manager. You say no, this is my niche market. And then look, here's a fact. We know, there are some hiring managers who, quite frankly, you wouldn't cross the road to even talk to, never mind work with. You may be working with them right now because at some level you think you've got no choice. But we all know those clients are those hiring managers who are nothing more than a pain in the butt. But you also know those clients and hiring managers that you've worked with who are an absolute joy and pleasure to work with. They return your calls. They value and respect you as a recruiter. They value and respect your opinion of the marketplace and the candidates and everything. So you want to get crystal clear about who that is. I think another one is that many recruiters, and I was as guilty as this as anybody when I had my own search firm, you're desperate to get into the big organizations, the likes of, I don't know, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. But the fact is, to get to talk to the decision maker in those type of organizations is almost impossible. And they're probably not your ideal client. As great as it would look to have those as a testimonial, they're probably not your ideal client. And again, this is something else you need to get really clear about, is that as much as you would like to work with Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook or whoever, they probably aren't your ideal clients. But it's probably just a tier down underneath there, where your ideal clients, where you get to speak to the decision maker. Let me be clear about this. You've got to be engaging with a decision maker, not with a talent management team, not with a PSL or those hiring portals that you see with some of these big organizations. For you to do your job properly, you've got to be engaging with the actual decision maker and the hiring manager. But the point is, what we're talking about here is your ideal client. You must be clear about who that is, where they are, who they are, what their job title is, and also the type of hiring managers that you want to work with in terms of personality. So one thing we always say is, look, work with hiring managers who value and respect you and who want to work on a win-win basis. So that's what we mean by ideal client. Anything that you'd add to that, Drew?
Yeah, a few things. And I think everyone's going to have their own criteria of what an ideal client looks like. There's going to be there'll be a lot of similarities, but there'll be a lot of differences, and depending on who you are and what your business is. But for me, I think, yeah, you mentioned some of the key ones there, but I think just to add to that, I think you want to be working with a client who values quality service and the results you're able to get over your fee. So they value the results you're able to get them, the candidates you're able to introduce them to over your fee. So I think, yes, there will be some prospects or potential clients in your market who, all they care about is the lowest fee. All they want is the lowest fee. We're not talking about those people. They're not your ideal clients. We're talking about the ones who actually, they seek out the best service and the best results. They're the ones who we're talking about here when we say your ideal clients. Also, I think another criteria for me is like an ideal client is someone who is willing to use you exclusively rather than, using you and multiple other firms to fill one single vacancy.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So look, let's jump into 5 of the reasons why your ideal clients want you to increase your fees and how to do it without missing out on profits. So we looked at some of the thought process behind it. Let's look at some of the reasons why. So reason number 1 is that when you charge more for your services, you need less clients, you need to work with less clients to hit your income goals, meaning that, ultimately you're not going to be spread too thin, so you can dedicate more, time, energy, resources on each vacancy you work on. Again, we've probably all been in situations where we're busy, but we're taking on additional work because we want to hit our income goals. We almost feel like we can't turn business away because you want to hit our income goals. Again, when you charge a higher fee, you have the opportunity to, almost handpick the roles that you work on and the roles that you turn down. This is good for your clients because it means that any time you work on one of their vacancies, you can really commit to filling it, really commit to giving your best possible service. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I think good point there. So you decide ultimately. One thing that we'd advocate is that you should decide who you work with, not the other way around. And once you've then decided, and you're now charging a high fee, the client benefits because now you're working with this client who's going to pay you a higher fee. Look at it from the client's point of view. If a client's going to pay you, let's say 25%, but all their competitors are going to pay you 20%, as an example, the person that benefits here is the client, because the client that's going to pay the higher fee, you as a business owner, the best candidates are going to go to that client who's going to pay you a higher fee. If that client then says, I'm going to work with you exclusively, guess what? They're going to get even better service. If they then say they're going to pay you up front and pay you a retainer, now they're getting an even better service. Now they're not working with the quickest recruiter, they're working with a recruiter that's going to dedicate 100% of their time and effort to that client to find the top candidate, rather than the spray and pray method where, look, I'll just get as many CVs or resumes together and just get those over to the hiring manager. But not only get to this hiring manager, I want to get over to half a dozen of the hiring managers as well. I promise you, if you ask the hiring manager, do they want the top candidates exclusively, or do they want them to be shared? 99% will say, I want the top candidates exclusively. So you're doing them a favor, and that's why you've got to look at it, that you're serving them when you're doing this. So it's good for you, and it's good for the client, and equally, it's good for the candidate as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you sort of touched on this, but another reason is, it means that you can be loyal. It means that, again, Terry mentioned right at the beginning that your sort of role as the owner, director, founder of your business is to, effectively generate as much profit as possible. When, that's your goal, what it means is that, you can sometimes fall into the, fall into the trap. Like, it makes sense that you're going to work on the role that's easier to fill, or the one that's you most likely to get paid on, right? When a client's paid you more and there's a higher fee attached to that vacancy, again, they're also buying your loyalty, which means that, if an easier role comes along or someone comes in cheaper, again, they're buying that loyalty there. Again, if the role is important to them, if it's important to the organization or the department that it gets filled, again, they're going to want your loyalty. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
No, not at this stage, Drew. No, but some really good points that you've made there. Really good point.
Again, another reason you can afford to dedicate more time and resources to each role that you work on. Again, meaning that your client are going to get a better service. So again, going back to what we said in the beginning, we're looking for your ideal client who value the quality of service and results over low fees. And the higher you charge, the more time, resources, energy we can really, commit to each role, ensuring that the client gets a better service. So, do you agree to that?
Yeah. So that thing about time, I think, is critical because look, here's what we know: you lose, 3 or 4 clients in a year, you can replace them. You lose some money over a period of time, you can replace it. You lose your top biller, ultimately, you can replace your top biller. You waste your time, it can never be replaced. You see, we all get 86,400 seconds a day, every single day. And once it's gone, it's gone. It can be never, ever replaced. So of all the resources, the one thing that none of us can afford to do is waste time. And wasting time working with hiring managers who don't value and respect you, who want to pay you a lower fee, who want to work with half a dozen of your competitors at the same time, that's wasting a resource that you can never, ever replace. And I think this is... I think we all at times forget this, that once today's gone, that's it. You can never ever get it back. You can't replace time. but you can replace everything else, and you should treat it like gold time, because it really is a one-off, so to speak. So that's the other benefit when you're charging a high fee. You don't waste your time, and you give your time to that client who's paying for your services, and you get the most for it. Absolutely, Drew.
Perfect. Again, reason number 4 is that the higher the fee, the harder you're going to work to make sure that you over deliver. The higher the fee, the harder you're going to work to make sure that you over deliver. So again, this is something that happens subconsciously with most people, but when when you get a high fee, there's actually more pressure on you to deliver. You feel like you want to do a really good job you want to make sure that the client who's paying you feels like they're getting value for money, right? Most honest people want to, if they're being paid a fee, you want to feel like the client's getting value for money. So again, the higher the fee is, the harder you're going to work to make sure that you actually deliver on the promises that you've gave. Again, it's not something that happens necessarily consciously. It's not that you put less work in deliberately when you get a lower fee. But if you compare, again, keep talking about dedication, but compare your dedication to, the lowest fee you've ever gotten compared to the highest fee you've ever gotten. The first time you get that higher fee, you just try a little bit harder. Again, it all happens subconsciously, but we're working that little bit harder to make sure that we over deliver on the promises that was given that particular client. Is there anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce that. Really, you've got 2 assignments that you're working on. One, you're going to get one's worth 30,000 of your local currency, and the other one's worth 3,000 of your local currency. Just human nature. You're going to work harder and give more time to that one where you're going to get the highest rewards. You can't help it. Even if the client that's going to pay you 3,000 is a client you've known for years or whatever, just human nature. You can't help but think, hell, this 30,000 is going to be 10 times what this other one's worth. Now, whether it's 10 times or it's twice as much, or if it's more, the more it is than what you normally get, the harder you're going to work at it, and that's pure human nature.
Yeah, awesome. And that brings us to the final reason, which is, the law of supply and demand. Terry, can you just sort of jump in and tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if this was an international thing, but in the UK during the peak of the lockdown and the pandemic, there was a lot of panic buying, and for reasons that I can't explain, I don't think anybody can. In the UK, anyway, we were panic buying on toilet rolls. I don't know what the logic was behind it, but people were. What happened in the UK is that because of the people panic buying, because there was more demand for the toilet rolls and for dry products such as rice and pasta, prices went up. But that's the law of supply and demand. And exactly the same applies to your business. So if a hiring manager says to you, I'm looking for an XYZ, and they acknowledge, the hiring manager, that there's a shortage of those type of candidates, logic dictates then. The hiring manager can't say, yes, I know there's a shortage of these skills in my particular niche right now, but I want to negotiate a lower fee with you. Because you can kind of, how does that work? If there's a shortage, a lot of supply and demand, you have to pay more, because whoever pays the highest fee gets the best candidate. So it's a simple law of economics. The whole, and don't take my word for anything that we've said today. Go and look this stuff up. The law of supply and demand is the more demand there is for something, the higher the fee the client must pay. It's as simple as that. It really is. There's no other simple way of putting it. Is there anything you'd add to that, Drew?
No. Again, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think most people know it intellectually. I think sometimes though, when you're a bit too close to the situation, you fall into the trap of, I guess, the client can tell you all of those things. There's a shortage of candidates, but still offer you a lower fee. And I think the problem is that a lot of recruiters will accept that and not really push back. But again, I think logically you can't really argue with it. This is the law of supply and demand. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I remember. It reminds me years ago. It must be about 12 years ago. Going to an Apple store, and I was buying two Macs and a phone. And I actually said to the assistant, "Look, I'm buying this. And I'm going to pay in cash now. What discount can you give?" And he just smiled at me. He says, "We don't give discount." I said, "Why not?" He said, we have more clients and we have actual products. There is no need for us to give discount because we've got more people who want to buy our products than then we've actually got products as well. Again, it's a simple law of supply and demand. You know, you go into some electrical retailers and ask for some sort of discount, and they go, yeah, let's see what we can do. Try doing it in Apple. Hell will freeze over first before that's going to happen. But it's that simple law of supply and demand, and it applies to your business as well. And you need to, and the point about all this that we've just shared with you, you need to be sharing this with your hiring manager, and ask the hiring manager, if there's a shortage of these quality candidates, and you want to pay a lower fee, but your competitors are going to pay a higher fee, where do you think the best candidates are going to go? Just ask the question. And they might say, yeah, well, that's all we can pay. And I say, well, that's all you can pay. You're going to have a problem there. Cheers, Drew.
Yeah. But I can say that the answer to sort of, you know, it's one thing knowing all of this is the answer to sort of applying this to your business is, one, to get better at the art of client attraction. So you have, you know, you're creating more opportunities and more demand for your services than, you know, there is to supply. And the second thing is your positioning, how you're positioned in the market, how you're perceived by your ideal clients. There are two things that you need to get right, and they really work hand in hand. You get those two things right, you know, you get what we call price freedom. You can charge higher fees than your competitors and still win more business. But they're sort of two of the areas where a lot of recruiters struggle, is that they, you know, one, they're not good at marketing, not good at this client attraction. They're good recruiters, but not good at attracting clients into their business. And two, they've got their positioning all wrong. So they just look like another recruiter in the market. They don't stand out. If they don't stand out, how can you charge a higher fee than the rest of the market? So look, if you want to help with that, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/apply, the short letter there about how we work. That's makemoreplacements.com/apply. Have a read the letter. If it's something that sounds like you, follow the instructions in the letter, and we'll speak with you soon.
Great. So that's makemoreplacements.com/apply. Just have a quick read of the letter. There's no cost. There's no obligation. And we'll take it from there. Drew, once again, thank you very much for joining us today. And we'll be back at the same time next week. Until next time, take care, take action, and be relentless. Cheers, folks.